So we're all proud.
From nitwit to coal miner.
People don't understand anxiety is not just being nervous.
Whatever.
Hi, my name is Mickey Hughes. Welcome to another episode of Over the Edge. It's a podcast about anxiety where I speak with entertainers and members of the medical community about COVID times and what we are all going through. And I'm really good at it. It's anxiety, not podcasting. But today we have a really great guest. I'm honored to have Chris Holland is here. Now he is as Thunder Bay famous as it gets. He's a comedian. He's won Thunder Bay Comic Idol. He hosts, if you've been to an event, he's probably hosted it. We've worked together professionally. He's also a very good friend of mine. He's a really good guy. You're about to see why. I'm going to bring him up right now. This is Chris Holland from the Boonies. Yeah. You look good. You look good for some.
So do you.
Thank you for just moving and being in a pandemic. You said, did you work today?
I did. I sold
you did.
two cars
work yesterday.
Today.
You work. Congratulations! You work for Performance Kia. Did you sell two Kias?
I do. You sound like my father.
Did you sell two Kias?
My father
Is Kevin
says
happy?
To me every day.
Anything exciting happen?
Yeah. Am I here to talk medically or am I? No, I'm just kidding because you said doctors and stuff. So.
Comedians in entertainment, because I assume that because you're a comedian, you have anxiety. If not issues specifically, you know people that do because you're a comedian and you know other comedians. So either you're handling it or may have some input on how others can handle it because you're a pretty level guy.
Well, I think like most of it's funny, I've worked with a lot of people and so have you, and each one has their own quirks, and there's a lot of darkness in comedy and people don't realize that. They think, oh, everyone's funny, you must be funny all the time, you're a funny guy. Well, I tell you, a lot of comedians, this propels you through. Other things do. You do things that you may regret. I grew up kind of the fat kid, so my release was always being the funny guy. So I would do things that, may not, that I look back on, am I proud of? No, but did it gain me popularity? Maybe. I was always that guy that, hey, I like you, but I don't like you kind of thing. So it was, people liked me around because I was fun to be with, but at the end of the day, I was pretty much going home alone.
Yeah, lots of friends, but lots of it was very superficial. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I had a good group of like close friends. There was probably 8 of us that were pretty tight all through high school. I don't see many of those guys. I still see them, but I don't. Now I live in the bush and I don't really like people, so it's a good thing I'm in a sales position.
Were you the funny guy?
But I turned that off at the end of the day.
What's that?
You know what? It's funny. I see people now that I went to high school with that I didn't thought anything of me. Like at a show at the auditorium, 2 people I went to high school with came up to me afterwards and said, yeah, you're always funny in high school, but I never thought of myself as being the funny guy. And I certainly wasn't the guy that would go on stage and do what I do. But I think what changed my life is I worked at Old Fort William, and that broke me out of my shell where I had to talk to people. I was, it was my job to talk to people all day. And I found that I really like talking to people, learning their story. And I think a lot of their stories reflect in my comedy, and I like to do stories that people can relate to. And I opened a show for John Lundberg, who was a good mentor. He said to me, people aren't laughing at what you're saying, they're putting themselves in a situation that they can relate to what you're saying. So they're really not laughing at my story at all. They're just remembering, if I do something on a family trip, they're like, yeah, I remember that trip. It was terrible. I got my hand caught in the door or something stupid like that. But they're not laughing at me. They're relating themselves. So
I'm curious, how do you find
with me
personal
though,
relationships since then? The reason why I'm asking you is because you say people, said to you that you were really funny and you weren't aware of that. Because I have a feeling maybe you weren't aware of. When I met you, I was very intimidated. I was intimidated by you for a very long time, and when I got to know you, I realized you're absolutely not intimidating, like at all. Like you're very, did comedy help you with that by being told that you're being relatable on stage? I'm not saying you're nicer now,
I,
you're the
I,
same person now, but I feel like it's a
yeah,
ruse.
no, it. I guess it's funny. I was talking to Olivia today. Like Olivia's gonna be 16 next month, and Reed's gonna be 19 tomorrow. So I kind of think about where they are in life, and it's different struggles for a girl than a boy, obviously. And yeah, looking back on my relationships in the past, and probably because of, I don't know if it's feel needing that need to feel wanted, I guess. I don't know if I took a lot of self pity or I was a martyr. My mother's a martyr, very good at it. She lays the guilt trip, and my mom is the type of person that she won't tell you right now what's bugging her, but we always joke that she has the MISC, MISC email. So you'll tell her something at noon, and by 8 o'clock you're getting that MISC email. Today we're talking about this, and I don't really agree with that. She won't tell it to your face, but she'll wait in an email where it's just not. It's totally,
In regards to our
just
earlier
nothing. There's no
conversation,
exactly. So
not a
that's
lot
what
of
I grew up
direct.
with. So,
Okay.
no,
Yeah, and I just wanted to
no, and
qualify too. I
they're
didn't find you intimidating because of your intimidating personality. It was a little bit more of the standoffish and just more of your image. Like when you get to know you, you're very personable. And I wonder if that's some of your mom there then.
I try.
I thought that I was very self-aware. I'm not self-aware at all, like at all. And I find that most of us think, oh, we come off a certain way, or this is our image, or this is how we present ourselves. So this is how other people see us. And that's so far from the case. Um, Genuinely, I was struggling really hard during the beginning of the pandemic, and I thought that it was just obvious that I was being funny and everything was fine. But I mean, I was drowning, and people knew. So we don't
Mhm.
really know. What's changed for you? Do you think? I mean, you're not doing comedy right now, and you're not hosting. You're not doing those things that you find entertaining and that you're very good at. Has that taken a hit on you? Have you enjoyed your time off? How is that? How have you been handling that in general?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first time I was off from March until the beginning of June, and it was because the weather was good, and I built the garage, I built a gazebo. I was busy every day. I cut trails in the back, so it was a little easier to not think about it. The hard part was, not having, I basically made $25,000 less this year than I did last year, or last year than the year before. So that weighs on me, and I
You have
think
the same
about it
number
all the
of
time.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and
Yeah.
but I had more to do. But the second time around, I got laid off in December and beginning of January, and it got really cold. As you know, it was minus 40, and I didn't have as much to do, so I had more time to. But we were out walking every day just to get my things. And I mean, Jen notices when I'm home and I don't think about things. I definitely do change. I'm a different person, and I'm a different person the day that I'm doing a show. I turn into a different person. I thrive off that energy of I got to get the laugh. And I mean, I've done it. I've done a show at a funeral. I make a, I could come in and say, ah, man, my dad died this morning, and people be like, that's funny, that's hilarious, because I joke all the time about everything, and when I do say something serious, they don't take me seriously. So
Yeah.
sometimes it is a detriment to be joking all the time, but it's how I deal with things.
Just wondering if you were like excited, like, oh, I'm gonna get to go out, like if you had some jokes or if you were digging deep. I'm just curious what your mindset was coming in because you had mentioned something about being nervous earlier, and I thought if you wanted to say something funny or if you had a shtick, go ahead. Or if you, what I ask everybody at one point is, have you ever been to the edge? You were there when I went to the edge, so I've spoken about that
Oh
openly
yeah,
on
yep.
previous
I've
episodes.
been there. Yes, to answer your question, yes, I did routine before I would go on stage. I had my nervous poop, and that's what I do. And then you go out and do your thing. And I was looking forward to this. It's closest thing to stage time for sure, and I enjoy talking to you. So, and yes, very close in college. That probably was my lowest point, and had some people pull me through, and did lots of stupid things, and I don't regret anything. It's what life meant. But I think now, if people know me from when I was 20 to now, obviously if I haven't changed, there's something wrong. But I went to school with people that are still the same person. You
You have a
see them, it's like, oh man,
superpower. You
you're,
have
you're almost
Jen.
50. You gotta
No, you
you
have you
gotta
have Jen. Everybody needs your wife. Like,
Right. Oh, absolutely, she's the rock.
yeah, she's phenomenal
Yeah.
because I believe you'll have some Thunder Bay open micers and some others that are newer to comedy that look up to you and who view you. You're like you're old comedy Thunder Bay, just sort of seeing how you're handling everything. Do you have any advice for anybody that might be struggling without the stage even locally, or just your general knowledge? You've been doing it for a long time. Can you show that? You got the huge tattoo on your arm. I mean, you embody comedy. You're the comedian of the year. Was it last year for the Walleye magazine, Northwestern Ontario's? There you go. Northwestern Ontario's entertainment magazine. You don't just get there by calling it in. There's absolutely no way
I had to.
I'm going to be able to
It
unpixel
costs
that.
that cost me a
I
lot
know
of
that
money.
it's a microphone. I'll sub it in later. I'll fix it in post.
It's my microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I dropped my I dropped my yeah.
You dropped the
Yeah,
mic.
well, thank you. I dropped my mic. I did. No, I do. I miss it totally. There's no doubt about it. And I like seeing people definitely go out on stage for the first time. It's a cool experience. And I mean, I never thought I would ever be doing comedy for sure. So I did the open or the Da Vinci Comic Idol. 2004 didn't do well. 2005 tried again. 2006 I won it. So each time I learned from the last experience. You watch different people. You learn things.
And then you
Everyone's
judged it
got
when
their
I
own
won it.
personal stuff.
You're always first to
No, that's
show
fair
up. You're
play.
always first to come to my events. You're always I think you're just who anybody calls whenever they need an MC, or that you're that staple comedian here in Thunder Bay. So I wanted to check in too and see how you were doing. I've got I got a few like power questions here. I'm gonna ask you. Just sort of go into
Okay.
them just to
All right.
because I'm going to splice them up later and make everybody look like assholes. Uh, I'm just kidding. I won't
Oh
do that
boy.
to you. I'll
Oh
ask you
boy.
first. Okay. Ask you, what do you do to calm yourself
Uh-huh.
down when you are having a
All
hard
right.
time, Chris? Sorry?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I like it. I wrote it. I put
I
it
miss
on.
playing hockey. I miss playing hockey.
Okay, no, he's not like, what do you do now? Like, so if you feel like you're
Satellite internet on
stressing the hell
the
out and, you need to calm down, need to do some self like soothing techniques. What do you do to bring yourself into the now so that if you find that you're spinning out and you're at home and you're missing comedy, what do you do when you're stressed?
yeah. I used to go to the rink a lot. That was kind of the place that I felt good. I like playing knock you. I like being with different people. Like you're with the guys and you're doing different things that you don't, you're talking about things you don't talk about with your wife. It's mostly gets down to talking about dicks. Can I say that on?
You can actually. We haven't
It's
said
weird
anything that
because
I can't put this on TikTok. So when it goes on, I could still stream it. Cutting it a little bit
Jen
close
always
though.
says to me, "What do you guys talk about?" I'm sorry. She's like, "What do you guys always talk about in the dressing room?" And it really is not. It's not about women at all. It's just wieners. It's just wiener
You
talk
just
all the
talk about
time. It's
dicks.
crazy.
Okay. You know what?
But just
I
different.
probably assumed that.
Yeah,
Have
that's
you?
it. Just dicks.
When was the last time you cried, Mr. Stable and Functionality? Have you cried lately?
Sorry.
I said, when was the
Have
last
I
when was the
cried?
last time you cried? I'm a crier. Some people are just like, I just don't cry.
Well, I cry every episode of The Goldbergs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes a
True
lot of
story.
sense. Have you felt in the last 2 months murdery?
Do you know The Goldbergs?
No, but I'll
You
Google
don't know
it.
The Goldbergs?
Uh,
Oh my God, it's a show about the '80s. It's my life.
Oh, I should
It's
have done my
totally my life.
research.
You gotta watch it.
I am really bad at this. I didn't even know. I
Well, I didn't premise that I was going to talk about The Goldbergs. I'm
You
sorry.
didn't. Next
So
time, you don't give me a heads up because now this is really embarrassing. And now I'm gonna cry.
should have been on the green sheet. No,
When's
totally. It's a show about the '80s, and his dad is my dad, and it's on
Yeah,
every
still
night
probably not gonna watch
at
it.
11 o'clock.
When do you think the
Goldbergs.
pandemic's gonna end? Oh,
No,
you know what? I'm
it's
sorry. You fade out, and then I think you're not
never.
talking. And I apologize. It's not gonna end. Are you gonna take the vaccine?
Yeah, it's it's the word.
Yeah,
That's a great question.
I like that one.
I probably should. That's a good question. I probably should. I, I don't know if it's right now. The efficacy is like 6 months. So really, is that?
Shit.
But yes,
Okay.
I would. Your battery exhaust. It's tired. Your battery's
It's
tired.
it's
It's
tired. Okay,
exhausted.
so I'm going to put my phone on, and then we'll.
Everybody's got an opinion. It's crazy. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And the fact of the matter is that if I post something that you don't agree with, you can post the anti argument within seconds. But there's no credibility to the sources. And I on his page, I saw somebody post, well, it's going to cause infertility in women, and the Germans are trying to kill the world, and
the
it just makes me sad.
the thought that everybody should have a voice and everybody should have their say in a story and both sides of every story has been completely shot to shit in the last year. I do not think that we should be giving people voices who are going to be spreading disinformation. This is a virus that spreads from person to person. If they say, well, we did lockdowns and it didn't work, it's because we didn't do it properly. It only spreads person to person.
Yeah, we
Like, that's it. And it's ruining lives. And I have anxiety, so I'm doing a podcast about it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have a lockdown. Like when you saw the lockdown that they did in Italy, there wasn't a person on the street. I can go to Canadian Tire right now. That's not a lockdown. That's just an inconvenience that store hours only 9 to 6 now. I can't go get my bungee cords between 6 and 9. Like it's not a lockdown, and people now are pushing against the government so much that this thing's gonna continue forever.
Of all
That's
the
the
ways to do
problem.
it, this isn't the way to do it. Like, it's a good way.
They talk about, it's funny you should say that, because they talk about humane.
This is a horrible way for the country to die because we're going to be losing, we're losing credit, we're losing borrowing ability, we're losing buying ability. Somehow the fucking American stock market is doing really well and people are making billions. Fuck those guys. This isn't going on TikTok now. But all of us, you and me and anybody in
Well,
the
it's being
private sector,
manipulated though.
which just shows that it was never
yeah, we're screwed.
The fact that it's thriving tells me everything I need to know about the stock market right now. When I'm being told what to buy, the fact that Redditors can go and turn Wall Street upside down, there's something wrong. It's not built on a stable ground.
Yeah. Oh,
So this whole we're halfway through it right now, if we're just going to keep going on the way it is. So you're back to work now. Are you anticipating like what about the third wave? Do you think like can you handle another layoff? Can we handle another shut everything down?
we were talking about it today. 100%. There's another layoff coming because there's 4 people in the ICU right now in our hospital and 10 in the hospital, and what 40 or 50 cases a day. We shut down in March completely. There was one person in the dealership. That was it, and service was open, but we closed it down. Everything was shut down. We were scared of it, and now when it's reality that it's here and it's actually in the air, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go to Walmart and I need Lay's poppables, so I'm gonna go buy some.
You find solace with your buddies
and today, like the super rich are getting super richer, and the super poor are just screwed.
Oh yeah, no, the middle class is completely getting weeded out there. Have you kept up at all with the comedy community? Have you been doing any Zoom shows or writing or up on that, or are you just finding your solace in the outdoors and with friends? Last question would be, what would you tell me if I were to call you and say that I was in dire straits and I really needed somebody to talk to, but I'm really, really upset. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. What would you do for me? What advice would you bestow on me to make the situation better?
Well, I remember getting a text sort of like that from you. But I've had 2 very close friends in the last 2 years take their lives. And what I would tell that person is, and I said this at the one memorial service, I would say, you know what? I want to sit that person down and say, you see how many people are here because of you and how many people your life impacted, whether you think it did or not. And I know mental disease is a disease, and there's nothing you can say that's going to change someone. You can try. But I would say there's 500 people here that you could have called to say, I'm having trouble. And I would have said, I'd be there in a second and try to talk you off the ledge. But it's a tough one. And I didn't see it coming with one person. I know he had been down the road before, but I really thought he was in a good place, but he ended up getting a DUI and lost his job, and that was it. He thought it was the end of the world, and he ended up hanging himself in his mother's basement. And I think about him every day, and I miss the guy, and I would have been there and done what I needed to do, but it's someone's made that decision. It's a hard place to come back from, but support is all you can do at that point.
Chris, I'm going to say something that is probably my most favorite time that somebody's ever missed a cue. That was the joke hang up cue with the what would you do? And you actually brought that up, and you're getting it now. But I could cry because there was a time that I did call you, and I was in dire straits, and I lived, and I was okay, and I know that you had been through that too. So maybe it's not such a funny joke to say, what would you do if I called you and I was really upset?
And I'm glad I was there.
Up.
There you
go.
But
that was the best miscue I've ever used, and maybe I should come up with a different ender. I love you, Chris. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sorry about your friends. And we've lost people.
Thank. I know it's hard. I know you've been there too, and we can thank satellite internet for the best miscue, and
That
the
was
history of
amazing, actually. And
podcasts.
it was a long time ago for me that I don't even think about it to the point where I can make a joke, but you brought me back and it reminds me why I'm doing this show. So thank you very much for being very real and honest. And you mean a lot to me. So thanks so much for doing the show. And I'm not even
Thanks,
going
I
to have you hang
appreciate
up
that.
on
And
me.
sorry about the shitty internet. It's the curse. But Elon Musk is apparently the answer.
Elon Musk. Yeah. Don't be like, do you know who
I don't
Elon
even
Musk?
know if I'm still on.
You are still on. Now I'm
Yeah,
going to go
you
back
want,
to my awkward end because we kind of fucked up the shtick I set out. So you have a good night, and thanks so much for being on here.
that's it. It's what editing's for, right? You can fix all of that.